Hello everyone, my name is Krishna Rachakonda. I created a custom component called application footer component. I got inspired from the external websites like Microsoft and many other websites. All of them has a footer section, and if we observe the footer section, it has multiple sections in it, and each section is like a bold, and also it has all the child elements. And when we click on it, it will go to the different pages in the same site, or it can go to a different different site altogether. So I want to get the same experience in the Power App, so I created this custom component called application footer. So my footer component basically it can navigate to the different screens in the same app, or it also supports launching a URL from which will open in a browser window. And the footer component right now, it reads from the SharePoint list. So all the elements in the footer we see here, everything is coming from a SharePoint list, but we can change the data source to a different data source. As you know, like we can use CDS or SQL, or also in the Power App on app load we can create a table and associate to this component. So I would like to show you what the component does, and what's the different features in it, and how I developed it. So in this section, the footer is by default collapsed, means we see only the headers of the footer section. So but we can, using the up key, we can see the child elements of each header. And in this example, I configured the SharePoint list. All the headers will navigate to a different screens. All the child elements are configured to have URLs. So let me click on some of these screens and we will see how this works. So let's click on Microsoft Store. It's in a different screen, and also you can see the colors and are getting changed because the component is added in different screens, and I configured with the different backgrounds, background color, so we can do that. And also in each screen, if we want to provide a different data source, we can do that. So we can it is flexible. So also we'll see the child elements. As I said, once I click on it, it can launch an URL. So I'll show you how I did how I created this app component. So before I get into the component, I will show you the backend list, the SharePoint list, from where I'm reading this navigation information. So the navigation contains the application footer. This is the custom list I created in the SharePoint. So with all these columns, the title of the navigation item and the type of the navigation. As I mentioned earlier, it can be a screen or it can be a URL. If it is a URL, we should provide a URL property. If it is a screen, we should provide the name of the screen. But is and also the header is to identify whether this particular navigation item, whether it is a header or a child element. So if it is a header, also we are I'm capturing the header order, what order I want to show the headers. But here I did not capture the child item order, but it will show the order in which I entered these child order, but we can have another column to capture that. So the last column is navigation parent. So the parent will capture for all the child elements under which parent the child item should be displayed. So in this case, the 4 items I put like what's new, which is a parent. So that is why when I click on when I expanded it under what's new, we see these 4, because these 4 has the parent as what's new. Okay. So now we have seen the SharePoint list and how we reading it. But I will show you the component code, how the component was created. So if this is the component code. In this component code, I have 4 input parameters and 1 output parameter. 4 input parameters are: one is the number of footer headers, the header elements, how many header elements I am having, and also 1 footer table. This is the main primary input parameter to which I'm passing the whole table of information includes the header and footer information, header and the child elements, complete information to in this property. And also the background color of the entire footer, and the font color, we can also change the font color of these labels. And also in the left navigation, if we see the way the footer is created is it's a gallery within another gallery. So the top gallery shows all the header items, and the child gallery will show all the child items. So but I'm passing the values for both the galleries in a single table. In a single footer table, I'm passing all the values together. I'm not passing separate tables for headers, separate table for footer. I'm not doing that. I'm passing a single table with which contains both the values. And also we see two different icons here, but in the designer you can see only one icon because one is overlapped on the other one. So icon up, basically it will help us to move, expand the footer, and icon down will collapse the footer. So if you observe the formula, on select, I'm actually setting a variable which actually negates or reverse the value of the variable. Means basically I'm setting the same variable with a negation. For example, if it is true, it will be false. If it is false, it will be true. Basically it's a toggling of the values. Same thing in the up and down icons. So this is what the whole one more property I forgot to mention is the footer header. The footer header is I'm passing this footer height information back to the screen, because the other components in the screen needs to be adjusted based on my expanded and collapsed footer. So that is why I'm actually sending the footer height back to the screen. So whatever controls that we are going to place on the screen, that can be adjusted based on that. So here you can see the formula. What I'll explain in detail later in another video, but you can download this component from the community and check what formulas were used. And let's get into the app that used this footer component. So I created a custom canvas application, and I included multiple screens, which we saw earlier in the beginning of this video. So in this video, in this screen, I have for each screen I added a footer component. In the footer component, if you see here, the input properties are number of footers, footer headers 5, and the table I'll show you what is that, and also background I'm passing different values here. So let's go into the app. On app start, basically I'm reading the SharePoint list. On app start, I'm reading the SharePoint list called application footer, which I showed you earlier, and I'm reading all the headers first, and then I'm getting all the header in row items from the SharePoint list and placing it in a collection. And then I'm adding another column called footer items, and then I'm hitting the SharePoint list to get all the child items of each header item, and then we are getting the another collection footer. Also here we see the screen name column. These screen names are string values. It is not Power App recognizable screen names. So I need to convert that into Power App screen recognizable screen values. So that's why, like in my previous collections, I'm creating another collection and adding another column called screen, and checking the screen name in the previous collection. If with the switch command, if it is screen of what's new, I'm putting the Power App screen object here. So that's how I'm creating the table and passing it to the component. So let's see the component collection here, the collection footer. if you see the title, the screen, navigation type, and footer items. So the footer items contains, it's another table with all the URLs and the title, and the title and navigation type is URL, and the URL contains the external URL. So that's how it is. And if I want to use this component in any other screens in the app, we need to import the component into the component library. I mean, you can create a component library, and then into that you can import it, like using here you can import the component, and after you import it you can start using it. But in my tenant I already have this component, so I'll show you how we can add it to a new screen. So in the new screen, I just add a screen here. I'll put a component from my component library components. I'll just click on it. It will automatically show you on the designer, and then I will set these values. I'm setting it to 5, and also these footer table by default. It will have some content, but I'll set it to my collection from the SharePoint list or the table. And also the footer background color, and also footer font color, I will set it to gray. Okay, like this. And also the one more property that we need to set is the last one, the Y column, which is the whole height, and minus the footer, like app footer, the last one, 8 maybe, yeah, 8 dot footer height, and plus 50 is the height of the default height of the component. I need to add that. That's it. Once we add it, then we will be able to see the component in this way. So we can expand it, we can see it. It's all like, it's really going to be useful in many ways, and wherever we want. Also, like in each individual screens, we can configure this component by passing different collections, so that we can see whatever information. For example, in one screen I want 5 items, but in other screen I want only 3, so we need to pass a different data source. I hope you all really liked it. If you have any comments, please send me comments. Thank you so much.